Okay, hello everybody. This is Duncan, and I'm here with Amanda. And today we're going to talk about entering a new project into Control Center. So, first thing that we need to do is we're going to go into Control Center, and we're going to go into the reporting workspace. So we have Control Center Admin, Control Center Projects, and Control Center Reporting. And the sheet that we're looking for is the Control Center intake sheet. So we're going to open this up, and this is the area where we enter the information on the new project. So we're going to enter a new McDonald's project. Where's the information on the project at currently? Is it in our email or?
In terms of just address and stuff, I downloaded the as-builds.
Okay, so we've located our information on the project, and so we'll start out by entering the project. Actually, I'm sorry. This file right here is a locked column because it pulls the information off of this column. So I've actually identified the gray column is a non-entry column, and you'll see there's a lock here. And this information is actually listed on the how-to guide. So the two columns that we absolutely have to fill information into is the PMDG project number and the site address. Everything else is optional because you can always come back and add it later, but obviously the recommendation would be fill out as much information as you can. Additionally, if you were to get multiple projects from a client, you could actually, let's say you got 25 projects from a client and he sent you a spreadsheet, you could actually just cut and paste from the spreadsheet directly into this intake sheet.
Oh, that's nice.
So we're working on a McDonald's. It's okay. I guess there's no drop. MRP, and we know that the project number is 18173. 173. Our office. Project manager. It's a good thing we're not recording this.
I call that.
Five, nine, 7, 1. Name and so forth, but we'll deal with that a little bit later. So once we've gone through those steps, then we just click. So if Diana was working on this for you, you can contact Diana in the Vancouver office, and you can let her know if you've got a custom report they're utilizing, so she can get things set up for you. And you could ask her to load up this information, and she could send it back to you. And if everything checks out, then you can simply click on the Ready to Provision button. So what's actually happening right now is Smartsheet's Control Center is working in the background to create new project folders, and I found that this easily takes about 2 minutes. So I'll go ahead and pause. All right, so it's been probably about 2 minutes, and we just had the provision box checked, and we've got conditional formatting set up so that it will change this blue, so it's real obvious that the folders are done. So what does that mean? What's actually been created? So I will show you. If we go back to home and go into the Control Center projects, you'll see that there's now a Bozeman project folder, where before there was none. So we can open that up, and since this is a McDonald's and we use the McDonald's template, when I open up the schedule, it's already going to have some pre-populated information as far as dates. So all this information right here is the stuff that we just entered on the intake sheet. We got the PMDG number, office, location, who the project manager is, construction manager, project numbers, and so forth. So these are the dates that we had pre-populated due to the fact that we are used to doing this particular program and we know approximately how long things take. So most of this information, the predecessor for us is the proposal. That kind of drives a lot of the things. And then the pre-con ADA is set up as a kind of independent task. So, and that independent task happens to drive a lot of the construction documents. Yeah. So if we want to go ahead and now change this date and give a better estimate of when we think we may start it, you got an idea of when that may happen?
Well, I guess the first thing is the ADA survey.
This is the ADA survey.
Yeah, but when would you like to go do the ADA survey?
When would I like to do the ADA survey? That's a good question.
I mean, it may not be you, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's our first thing is, because next week I think we're too busy. You know, we've got the game on Thursday and a bunch of other stuff.
All right. Well, I'm just going to change that to 8:15, so that kind of gives us some dates. Do you remember what the construction start date was?
So there currently is no construction start date, and that's why McDonald's wanted me to get started on the timeline, was to kind of give them an idea of how long it will take us, because we do here have to go through planning, and planning's going to be at least 8 weeks.
Okay, so that's a pretty good example of something that we'd have to do, because our template is set up in such a way that it doesn't show planning, because typically we don't deal with that. Is that like a site plan review, or?
Yeah, and it's actually a staff review.
It's a staff level.
So I'm not going to do any like public meetings or anything, but can I go in here and like modify the tasks for what my tasks are? Because they have special, I mean, Bozeman is really detailed, so they've got special names for all their steps, so I could go in and redo this and name it exactly what it is.
Yeah, so the thing you have to be cautious with when you're working within the schedule is anything that's got the arrow next to it is linked out to our reporting. So what we did was we chose the most typical items to be linked out. Mm-hmm. So like planning. So this would give you some generic information that you know when planning was submitted. Okay. It's linked off of this date right here. And then you would know when planning is approved. So that's very basic. If you happen to have a hearing, that information would be in there. And so the only other item really kind of in this area is the design review. Okay. But for McDonald's purpose, what we could do is you could utilize the site plan review. If it's similar to a site plan review, we could set up a predecessor based on brand review being approved. So that's predecessors 36. you're saying that's about that'll roll up to the overall
Twice.
this is
Not gonna have to do the, since I'm a remodel, I don't have to go through all the public stuff, I'm a staff.
so in this case, approval is essentially a milestone. Now you can see this tick box right here. Approved, this date right here is also going to show up. So that's good information for the client.
Oh, yeah.
So what you're asking about before is if you have tasks, excuse me, that you're not using, you can change the name of these as long as there's not that ticker.
Okay.
So if you wanted, or if you want to just delete something, that's perfectly fine if we don't have a conditional use. And
Well, can you delete something though that has that little tick mark?
you can delete it, but then you've lost your ability to tie into that portion of the report. But if you're not reporting,
Because I'm thinking like yeah, that meeting.
if you don't have it, then there's no need for it to be there. Now, what you may want to do,
Should I just hide it?
what you can do is just leave it blank.
Okay.
In case something was to happen in the future where a hearing was required.
That's what I was just gonna say in case it comes
Yeah.
back to haunt us later.
Right, exactly. And then you can put a task note in here. So you can say a task is so at least you know that since none of these other ones roll up into a report,
But if you move stuff around, you've got to double check your predecessors then because you may have
true.
moved
Yeah.
one right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's better to kind of get things in order before you do a whole lot of moving around. Like you said, your predecessors could get messed up. Plus, you also have a little bit of a hierarchy here. So the planning package is intended to pick up all the items that you would be required to do for your planning package. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to pull this out of here and stick it down here.
Yeah.
It's kind of meant to be part of the package, but you know, you do have that flexibility. And of course, if you set up a custom template, then you pretty much set it up the way you want. However, even with the custom template, these are the only line items, the tick box ones are the only line items that will roll to a report without contacting me and having me adjust the main template.
So if I have this sheet, I can't like take an unticked task and make it ticked, so it rolls into the report, right? Because the
Yeah.
report is kind of already set up, like kind of like we had before, where if we added sign permits to one store, it didn't roll up into the report because it wasn't in every store, and as part of the report itself.
Yeah, well, there's a whole process that goes on behind the scenes for how Control Center knows what to look for, and it's doing a name search. So we've kind of already programmed it to come in and look for Alta Survey, and if it finds Alta Survey, then it rolls it up into the reports. it's kind of, yeah, I'll leave it at that because there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes on behind the scenes. It is possible to have more things added, but we do have to be concerned with the fact that if we were to try to track everything and have everything roll into the report, it makes the program a little unwieldy and potentially slow. So we've been warned by the Smartsheet people to try to keep the amount of tasks that we roll up to to a bare minimum.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's probably more than enough time on that particular subject. Hopefully that helps. We'll have more videos that dive into a little bit more detail in the future.